Hey, they induced me. I literally said about 5,000, Lord Jesus, please help me, Lord Jesus. And they were like, okay, we're gonna give her epidural. And like you said, once they put the little epidural in, oh, as good as new. I was like, okay, I could do this. Like, because before then, I was calling God, His Son, the Holy Spirit, like all of them. I was calling them all. I was like, hello, do y'all hear me?
Like, baby Jesus, baby Jesus.
I need baby Jesus and grown Jesus too. Somebody. But they gave me that epidural. Bam, I got Anya out of there. Poop out. She was a pleasure. Once I got that epidural, she was a pleasure. Now, like you said, child number two did me in. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you go with child number two while I eat a little bit of my pork.
Child number two.
Woo.
But child number two, right? I worked all the way through the end of the pregnancy. Like I was gonna get induced on Monday. So I decided, you know what? That's it. I'm not gonna go back. I'm gonna, I'm Friday's my last day because I'm gonna get induced, yada yada yada. So the little one, right? I didn't want to go to the hospital quickly because I'm like, what if I go to the hospital? They're gonna try to send me back. I don't want pitocin. I wanted this time to be more natural. Like I don't want to feel all that pain. I want to see if I can, do it natural, yada yada yada.
You hyped yourself up because that epidural gave you a false sense of confidence the first time,
It
baby.
sure did.
We all do it, honey. And you wanted to be.
I can do this. I can do it now. I was like, yo, I'm gonna jump into the ring. I'm gonna do it this time. I'm gonna knock it out the park this time. That's not how it went down. That's not what happened. What happened was it's your girl Tally.
And it's your girl Nunu.
And this is the Inner Voice with Tally and Nunu.
We are back again, back to back, make back to bam. Hey, today we have a little treat. Spirit fingers on these own. We are doing a mommy mukbang. Show them what you got, girlfriend. We got seafood. And we're going to we were trying to come up with something good for you guys, something different. We explored a wonderful series in our first 6 episodes, and we decided to shake things up a little bit. And since it's Mother's Day, actually, we're going to air this probably right after Mother's Day. We wanted to talk about our mommy experiences and do it while we having a little libations, yes, and a little seafood. Okay. So you want to get started while I put a little bit of this lemon on my seafood.
Go ahead, sis. Ooh. So, in the hopes of talking about mommy experience, we got to start from the beginning, right? When we became a mom. Becoming a mom to me, first of all, I don't even know what happened, but what happened was, you know what I mean? Like, I remember when
I know what happened.
We're not going to discuss that, because I don't have exes, I have wives, but I digress. I'm trying to be a better person.
Yes.
With that being said, when I gave birth to my oldest child, I remember that, I was past my due date. Unfortunately, my child decided he wanted to stay in there longer and bake, and I was not happy with that. However, I wasn't happy about it. So, I read on the internet that if you have like, what's that called? Castor oil. You can speed up your labor.
That's some old wives' tales, sis.
It worked, though. It worked. It worked. So I ended up going into labor that night. And I'm going to labor, And yo, big ups to all the women that like, give birth natural with no kind of medication. Like big ups to all them.
I did it once. Mm-mm.
I can't. Well, we'll talk about that other time. But I was not feeling it. I was like, yo, dose me up. Like, put it in my back right now. I don't want it. Like, this is not it. Whatever this is, I don't want it.
Send it back to whence it came. Send it back to whence it came.
I was like, I don't want this. I don't want this pain.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Your first one, did you do him with an epidural or did you do him natural? Did you have him natural?
No. So I had first I had that. What's the first medication? They had to, first of all, I wasn't fully dilated. So when I went in, technically, had I not been past my due date, they probably would have sent me back. So they had to give me Pitocin. Then
they induce.
I feel like when they give you Pitocin, like they just say, that's like saying fuck you, I hope you die, because they just make it hurt worse. You know what I mean?
It's so like you have the thing about medication is you have no control over the effects. You know what I mean? So it's hard to like really know. Like we know that 99% of the time this dose was effective in inducing pregnancy, right? So bam, they give that dose to everybody. It's standard. But it affects some people worse than it does others because different people have different pain tolerances, different, you know what I mean, medication tolerances. And it probably had you like, get him out.
So I was like, I need some medicine. Like I need something right now. Like right now. Like not later. Like now. So they give me that first medication that you put in the veins. Like I forgot the name of it. We talked about. Yeah, they gave me Demerol.
Okay.
And that made me like feel like if I was on a trip, but I was giving birth at the same time. So I was feeling the pain, and I'm like, right. So then I'm like, you know what? Just give me the epidural. Give me the epidural. Like right now. Like I need it right now. So they give me the epidural. And I get the epidural, right? And then like I don't feel nothing. Like I don't feel nothing. I don't feel that my kid came out. So I'm like, yo.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this is easy. Give me birth.
You be like kid wear until it wear off and your cooter pop. Feel like it have been cootered and popped.
No, but like I was so numb that I didn't feel my cooter pop for like 3 days, yo. Oh, yeah, so I was good. I was like, what is this? And so like I say this and I mean this like really for real. Because I felt the second one, if I would have had the little one first, I don't know if the big one would have been born. You know what I mean? Because the first one was easy because I didn't feel nothing because I was so, drugged up. I didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
But the other one, that's another story.
You had all the pains, all the feels. What they say, all the feels. Okay, so you told firstborn story. Firstborn story for me is my daughter was supposed to come December 10th. And so of course it's Christmas season. So I was living, my cousins were on a gymnastics team. They like traveled, they did junior Olympic stuff. They did like national gymnastics team. So we're out at the Christmas parade in High Springs, Florida with 2 stoplights. And all of a sudden I said, oh, I feel a little poke coming through on you. All of a sudden I start drill, drop, drip. I said, I think my water broke. So my aunt, she's freaking out. Ah! They take me back to the gym where the team meets. And I'm in the bathroom with all the team moms, my pants down. They inspected my drawers.
Oh Lord Jesus.
They like, we think the baby's coming. And this was December 6th. And so I called my doctor. My doctor was like, oh, just come whenever. And so I'm like, let's get out of here. So I go, me and their dad or whatever, he's all hyped, he's all excited. So they had me set up in the room the night before. They said, we're going to induce you on December 7th. And when you're ready to go to sleep, let us know. We're going to give you some Ambien to help you get a nice restful sleep. So you'll have all your energy and be ready to give birth tomorrow. I'm like, cool. Now I ain't never have Ambien, but I ain't never have Ambien. So I'm sitting there. Their dad he goes and takes a phone call. So I'm like, well, he's talking to his friend, and he hadn't talked to his friend for a long time because we had moved down to Florida. So I'm like, I'll let him talk to his friend. Let me get my Ambien. So my nurse, Katie, beautiful blonde nurse, she was so sweet. She came in, she gave me my Ambien. She was young. I was like, oh my gosh, you're too young to be, to be delivering babies. And we laughed. And I take the medicine and I'm good until their dad comes back in the room. And I'm like, oh, he's sitting on the side of the bed. He's talking to me. He's like, hey. I was like, so what'd he say? How's everything going? And all of a sudden, I don't know if you've seen that Medea movie when that lady was like, let me get a little bit of them tweeds. And she smoked and that thing hit her. And she was like, I was sitting there. He was talking. His face started morphing. I had a bad reaction to Ambien. That was the first and only time I ever took Ambien. I was hallucinating. His voice was changing. He's like, what do you mean something's wrong? I'm like, oh shit. He's like, I'm gonna go get the nurse. And his nose was growing, his eyes, he was morphing. He was literally a transformer on me. Ambien had me thinking he was a transformer. So he runs, he goes and gets Katie. And Katie comes, walks in the room. I said, who are you? Because Katie had looked 40 years older. She said, it's me, Katie. I said, oh, hell no. I said, I gotta pee. So they took me to the bathroom. They made me go to sleep. The next day, they induced me. I literally said about 5,000, Lord Jesus, please help me, Lord Jesus. And they were like, okay, we're gonna give her epidural. And like you said, once they put the little epidural in, oh, as good as new. I was like, okay, I could do this. Like, because before then, I was calling God, his son, the Holy Spirit, like all of them. I was calling them all. I was like, hello, do y'all hear me?
Like, baby Jesus, baby Jesus.
I need baby Jesus and grown Jesus too, somebody. But they gave me that epidural. Damn, I got Anya out of there. Poop out. She was a pleasure. Once I got that epidural, she was a pleasure. Now, like you said, child number 2 did me in. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you go with child number 2 while I eat a little bit of my pork.
Child number 2.
Woo.
But child number 2, right? I worked all the way through the end of the pregnancy. Like I was gonna get induced on Monday. So I decided, you know what? That's it. I'm not gonna go back. I'm gonna, I'm Friday's my last day because I'm gonna get induced, yada yada yada. So the little one, right? I didn't want to go to the hospital quickly because I'm like, what if I go to the hospital? They're gonna try to send me back. I don't want pitocin. I wanted this time to be more natural. Like I don't want to feel all that pain. I want to see if I can, do it natural, yada yada yada.
You hyped yourself up because that epidural gave you a false sense of confidence the first time.
It
baby.
sure did.
We all do it, honey. And you wanted to be.
I can do this. I can do it now. I was like, yo, I'm gonna jump into the ring. I'm gonna do it this time. I'm gonna knock it out the park this time. That's not how it went down. That's not what happened. What happened was, it's like, it was like 2:00. No, maybe 11:00 at night. And I'm like, I started going through all the contractions. I'm like, I tell my husband at the time, my ex-husband, I was like, call my mom. Tell her we gotta go. So he calls her. They come and get me because they have to take my oldest with them. So they're just gonna drop us off and they're gonna take the oldest one with them. So we go rush into the hospital. I'm like, get this baby out of me. Get this baby out of me. Get this baby out of me. Get him out.
Get him up, 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 get him up.
So I'm like, I need this child to be out of me. So they're like, oh, you're still 8 centimeters. I was like, yeah, I need my epidural. Right? And they were like, well, since you're about to pop any moment, we'll just give you the 4-hour epidural. I don't know why they gave me that motherfucking 4-hour epidural. That was a motherfucking setup. I should have known when they said only 4 hours. I should have known because My kid would be the kid to wait them fucking 4 hours to be up before he want to come the fuck out, right?
And he a Taurus like his
He a Taurus. He started from day one. So 4 hours later, and I'm like, like, cause for them 4 hours, I was like, yes, good. Woosah. I'm not screaming. The 4 hours were up, and I'm like, I know what every man feels like when somebody knocks him in his nuts. And women know that feeling too. When you're like the pain is so severe that you gotta suck it up. Yo, that was, I was like, get the doctor. The nurse is like, no, we checked you like 10 minutes ago. You were fine. I don't care if it was 10 minutes ago. The baby gonna come out now. So I'm like calling, I'm like dialing, I'm like, I don't care, come. They're like, fine. Like at first they weren't gonna pay attention, and they're like, no, she's about to blow. So they all come in, and here I am, right? I'm giving birth to this child. And midway through giving birth to this child, the doctor's like, stop. Yeah. Stop.
That's gonna be a thumbnail.
He was like, stop. And I was like, what do you mean?
Right.
What do you mean?
So
that's how I was talking. That's exactly how I was talking. Like, what do you mean stop? And he's like, the baby's umbilical cord is wrapped around his neck 3 times. You have to stop.
No.
Yeah. So I'm like, and I stop. And then he flipped the baby around. Like,
mamas do anything for their babies.
That's a fact. I remember he flipped my kid around so quickly, I thought he broke his neck. Like, because he was just like, and then, like, I proceeded to push him out. But it was just like, it was crazy. So then I gave birth to the little one. And I felt everything. After that experience, I can't. Like,
you don't know, you good? You good on 2? You good on 2?
I stay in the corner.
Who's
big up to all you women that do it naturally, yo. I respect y'all. I love you.
Right.
Soldiers right there.
So we both acknowledge that who's on the second and ain't nobody else coming on third. Well, for me, I was
paying for my body. Hold up, I digress. Unless my future husband is paying for my whole body to get dead. We'll discuss it. Okay.
Look, we do need a little nip, a little tuck, a little slip, a little back. Look.
Pay for it. I don't care. Okay, daddy.
Right. And if he can do all that, as far as raising a kid, it sound like that might be a good plan. But child number 2 for me was okay. So I was a new mom. Okay. I was a new mom at 19 years old. And I married my kid's dad after my first one was born. And so we were before then trying to be celibate. So we had the first one. We wanted to be celibate until we got married. And so we go and we get married. And of course, with my doctor, I told him I only wanted 1 kid because I hadn't even finished college at the time when I got pregnant. So he's like, okay. He put me on a good birth control that I'm a remain name. I'm not gonna say the name because we don't got cash. We don't got cash to just be given to them. So he gave me a form of birth control that wasn't a pill. I'm going to say that. And all of a sudden, we hadn't done nothing. Bam, and at the bam, bam, it was bam, bam. Bam. You know what I mean? Bam.
You're having too much fun this.
And I felt it too. I said, ooh. I said, I might have kind of got pregnant on that one. Like, you tripping. He said I was tripping first. So I started getting my signs, my symptoms. I'm like, nah, bruh. I was like, this better not be happening because my doctor, I ain't gonna say his name either, told me that I'm good. It was a 99.9, I'm good. I went and took that pregnancy test. I said, the devil is a liar. That test said the devil is a liar. You are pregnant, girl. So I called my doctor. I'm distraught. I'm crying. I'm like, this is too much. I can barely take care of the first one. My baby was only what, 3.5 months old, and I'm pregnant again. Yes, sis, yes. Breastfeeding her and everything. How? Breastfeeding, former birth control. We were celibate until we got married, and then we sold the lie. And I got to the doctor's office. He comes back in the room. Oh, good news. I said, when he said, looks like you're having another baby. I said, that's good for you. Because you're about to get paid again. I literally looked him in the eyes and I was crying. I said, are you going to help raise this child? I said, you got in on this? I mean, you coming in the room talking about great news. No, sir. I told you when I wanted to get on birth control that I needed the strong one. I needed the one that was going, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Cut the head off the sperm, all that. Whatever needed to be done, I needed that, you know? And all through my pregnancy, he tried to cheer me up. Oh, come on. And I'll be like, so I go. What?
You're telling your doctor, go to the corner.
Yes.
To the corner.
So listen, the Eagles are in the playoffs. And they win the championship game with Donovan McNabb. This is January 23rd, 2005. I call my doctor because I start contracting. I'm like, ooh, this don't feel good. It came quick. He gonna talk about, oh, just wait. I start crying. I'm saying, he watching the game too. By the time I got to the hospital and he got there, it was too late to give me an epidural. And baby, capital B, capital A, capital B, capital Y. That's what it felt like coming through the cooter pot. When I tell you, they were like, stop pushing. I'm like, no. I refuse to breathe. I refuse to stop. I gave birth to my second, I gave birth to, well, Elijah. He's the one that edited the videos if y'all look at the end. I gave birth to Elijah, and baby, when I tell you 20 minutes flat, the doctor was like, oh, you're 9.5 centimeters dilated. I'll come back in another hour. I said, oh, all right. He walked out the door. I said, and I bared down and made myself go that other 0.5, baby. And by the time he got down to the end of the hall, I said, I think he's coming. They ran back and got him. I pushed that boy. They said, breathe, breathe. I said, no, I'll breathe after he's out. My whole face, I had broken my whole face was bright red. I had popped all the blood vessels in my eyes and my face because I wanted to get him out. I pushed him out. And I looked in the mirror after I had him. I said, I look like I have leprosy. But when I pushed him out, my doctor was so happy when he saw how happy I was when I saw my baby. My doctor cried. My doctor cried because he knew the whole pregnancy. I gave him for this money. I was like, I'm still waiting on my child support payment, Doc. We need to buy some diapers to get ready for this baby.
Oh, that's right.
But when I tell you, he gave me, tore me because I didn't want to wait. I didn't care to breathe. I wanted to get him out. And both of my kids were over 7 pounds. Not, that's a decent size babies. And so I've given birth both, they say natural is vaginal, but I've given birth natural twice if we're looking at it like vaginal births. And then I've given birth once with an epidural and once without. And I know they got a lot of effects and side effects to that epidural, but baby, if it ever happens again, I'm gonna say, can I pre-schedule my epidural?
Right. Like I'll be like, yo, the whole time, from the beginning to the end. I don't care if I'm 2 centimeters dilated. That's when I want to start. At the beginning of the pain. I want to go past the beginning. Fuck that.
Question. We've told our birth stories and the fun things that we had to do and experience. And what our choices were: epidural, check. The doctor giving you birth control that works, check. We need all that. And mamas being strong for their babies and holding when they want to push, that's you. And mama saying, get out.
An eviction notice.
So what, since we're talking about mommyhood and we want to do something fun and light so we can laugh and kiki and have a good time, what post-birth, do you have any interesting post-birth stories, like when your babies were like your newness to mommyhood?
Let's see. Good ones. I think that I always enjoy
Hold on. This butter sauce right here. Hey, this is a mukbang. We gotta tell people before we go into that. We gotta tell people what we eat. So
I'm eating the corn right now. This is a
she eating corn, but since it's Mother's Day, we wanted to have a special feast. And what better thing else do we love than seafood?
That's right.
So we got some crab, we got some potatoes, we got some corn. Ooh, I got a nice little piece of sausage right here that got the little garlic butter on it. I got some mussels, sis.
Oh, I
Good
had
mussels that I make my little drunken mussels. And I can't give y'all the recipe because I might have to hurt you, you know what I mean? But I put a little some form of alcohol within my mussels, make a good garlic butter sauce with it, and let them drown in them Jones. And I brought them to a couple parties, and people are like, what is in the mussel? I said a little bit of rang, a little bit of tang, a little bit of and oh, hold on. I got potatoes and I also have corn too. And it's a little spicy, that's why I'm coughing. Shrimp. Look how big your shrimp is, girl. You got Cajun? You got Cajun stuff?
I got Cajun. I got Cajun.
Okay. So what I did was I did Cajun in the cooking. So I cooked all my stuff in Cajun seasoning. And then I took it out, put it in a nice huge pan, those big industrial size aluminum pans, and then made my garlic butter and then poured it on it and then let it go in the oven for a little bit.
Recipe next time.
When you come down, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this for sure. So let's get back to, go ahead.
So I think that, you know, as a new mom, especially when you look young, you get a lot of weird looks, or like people feel like you're not doing it right, or you don't know what you're doing, and you're kind of looked down on. So in the midst of all of that, I remember being at a point where the best thing about being a mom was how that kid loved me. You know what I mean? Not the outside noise, not the inside noise, because me as a mom, I think I'm harder on myself than anybody else. But the outside noise was like hard. It was loud enough. You know what I mean? Because, oh, you're young. Oh, you don't know no better. And everybody thinks they can parent your child better than you can. You know what I mean? And him being in school, whatever, like, I don't think, I've always struggled with wanting to be that mom to force my kids to learn at somebody else's like level. I wanted them to be free spirited in the sense that they learn at their own level. And I don't want to force anybody else's education on them. But the reality is, I feel that's like a rich mindset, in a sense that you can do that. When you could do that for your child, that means you can homeschool your child and you could give them whatever education you want to give them. But that wasn't what I had. So what I did was I sent my kids to charter schools. And these charter schools had like expectations of them. And sometimes their expectations were really high. And although I was trying to do all things, like, you know, be a soccer mom and be the best mom and teacher and all that other stuff, I was always short to their standards, because they would always, like, you know, complain and act like I didn't know what I was doing. So the best part of all of that was all the stuff that Matt had said in the past. For example, when he was 2, he said to me, he was a baby and he was working out because, I had gained some weight from having a baby. So I was trying to lose the weight. And he said, I was doing that body fitness thing. What's it called? It's like, I don't know, whatever. I was doing some body fitness thing that my sister had bought on, that she found on TV.
Okay.
And here I'm doing the body fitness, and the lady's like, she was like, you can do it. You're a machine. And I was like, I'm not a machine. I'm a person. I'm not a machine. I'm a person. And here goes Matt. That's my oldest son. He said, when I was a baby, I was fat. And now that I'm a grown boy, I'm so skinny because I did this. Sir, you are 2 years old. Stop playing with me, yo.
Yo, kids literally watch when they little like that. They literally watch everything you do. And they say the darndest things. I can't even say some of the stuff my daughter has said in public. And I'm like, oh no. She used to love George Lopez. And every night she wanted to go to sleep to George Lopez. So one day we're driving to school and it's a beautiful day in Florida. So I'm like, let me roll the windows down. And the guys were doing the roof of a house. And she shouts really loud, Mom, look at him. He looks like George Lopez. I said, no. I said, no. Not all Mexican people look alike. Not all black people look alike. Not all white people look alike.
Yeah, you be embarrassed.
Everybody that was on the roof doing the work turned around and looked at us. So I was like, hi.
I'd have been like, window roll up.
I said, you can't say that. But it did. I said, you cannot do that on you. That's not, good. And she said, okay. But I have a funny afterbirth story as far as the pain meds that they give you after you have a baby. They send me home with some pain meds, some opioid meds. And I have a very low tolerance, as y'all can see from what I was talking about as far as the Ambien. I was so on with those opioids one day that I was breastfeeding Anya. And the machine wouldn't suck right. I had fed her. She was like, I'm done, sis. I don't want no more. And I'm like, oh no, somebody better get this stuff up out of my boob because it's not going to be around here hort. It ain't going to be hort like they say in LA. And I was so messed up on the pain meds that they gave me after I had my first child that I concocted a story in my head that the reason why the breastfeeding machine wouldn't suck was because it was a missing piece. For 2 hours, I had everybody in the house looking for this missing piece that didn't even exist, right? So I'm like, something's got to give. I ain't going to say no names, but my other half had to help, get some of the milk out of my bosom, as y'all can see. So, ain't nothing small about these things. And and he was like, I'll do whatever if you could just shut up. Because I was like,
They engorging? Yo, that's no
engorged. They were so hard and huge. And I said, after he helped me and everything, I said, well, let me try it again. And I put it back on and it started going, and it started sucking that milk out my boob. I was like, oh, it wasn't a missing piece. Everybody was so mad. It was like, seriously? And of course, my other half was like, you had me breastfeeding to help you get that out of your boob. And nothing was wrong with it. You just didn't have the latch right. I was like, I'm sorry. So yeah, that was my little fun afterbirth story. But our kids they keep us on our toes.
They sure do.
And they keep us busy.
They sure do.
But even though they drive us insane, like We couldn't live without them. The things that we do for them, the things that we continue to do for them. Um, even if we feel like we're a flawed parent, which we are so critical of ourselves sometimes, and we
Fact.
look and we feel like, hold on, this potato looking good. Hold on. And we feel like let's just sit some up, babe. We can talk and eat. And we feel like we're not good parents because we have an unrealistic expectation. But as long as you're keeping your kids safe, you're loving them, you're correcting negative behaviors that you're seeing, you know what I mean? You're meeting their needs as far as emotional, mental, physical, and it's not going to be perfect. And every day is going to breed its challenges and things that we feel we fall short in. But it's the fact that we get up every day and want have good intentions to do our best and to be our best that makes us good parents. You know what I mean? I have felt like the sacrifices that I had to make, especially when I was a single parent, to be better for my children was at their detriment because not being around them for days at a time with working full time, going to school full time, just so I can provide a roof over their head without getting any kind of assistance because they're like, oh, you make too much. So, the sacrifice I had to make and do it by myself, the fact that I've remained sane, the fact that they've remained fed, clothed, with great hygiene. They had rooms full with things they wanted. They felt like they were safe. They felt like they were protected. Um, and it wasn't perfect and things have happened, but for them to know that we have their back and no matter what, we're going to be in their corner. You know what I mean? That's the perfect mom. Perfection is just the idea. You know what I mean? Nobody's perfect. We all fall short. But if as long as we have those intentions in our head on a day-to-day basis, like I feel like we good. What's up? Like what
Right,
you think, sis?
right.
What you think? Let me eat.
You right though. You right on all that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think we're our own worst critics when it comes to how we parent our kids or like are we doing right by them. I know I am because like I said, like I had read or I had heard like, I like hearing things about learning how to be the best mom ever because I'm like I always thought about it like I didn't want to be part of the trauma for my child. So I remember always looking at them videos and they're like, guess who is the most responsible for causing the trauma in the child's life? It's the parent that is with them all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm like, yo, I need to stop this. I can't be the traumatic one.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
I'm constantly, trying to be a better person or be a better mom because I'm like, I don't want to be part of that. I don't want to be the cause for them feeling like, somebody didn't have their back. And I think that that's the thing. Like when we're adults and we have a lot of relationship issues, right? It's because we have trust issues and we get trust issues when the person that's supposed to have our back the most doesn't have
Mm-hmm.
our back the most. So as a parent, my job has always been to show my kids that no matter what, I got their back,
Yep.
no matter what it is. If they tell me first, then I'm not gonna feel offended. So
Yeah.
like if they're like, "Mom, I did something bad," as mad as I want to be, and be like, "Yo, I'm gonna whoosh the fuck down,"
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, I want them to always know that they can always come to me no matter what.
I had to learn that. I used to turn up when they were like, hey mom. I'd be like, what are you? And I said, ooh, nope, nope.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, they won't feel comfortable telling you things.
Yep.
Ooh, you see that piece of me?
Yeah, like you know
Ain't
what
no fun if my chest can't handle it.
I mean.
But yeah, definitely. I definitely experienced that, and it wasn't a bad situation that I didn't realize. Like one of my kids, they were like, well, I didn't want to tell you because, and I was like, wow. And from that moment, I said, no worries. When they come to me, breathe it out and calm down, process what they say, you know, come back logically, making sense and not irrational and emotional because they'll never feel like they can trust you. And you want your kids to feel like they can trust you and that you won't judge them. You know what I mean? Um, and I try not to judge my kids when they tell me little things. And or they do things that aren't right. I'm like, all right, well, let's figure out why. And let's figure out how to stop that. And let's figure out how to, I'm trying to prep them so hard because it's a lot of adults that I've seen that were enabled as kids
Mm-hmm.
and they hinder their success because nobody's ever had to check them. Nobody's ever like
Mm-hmm.
they let them get away with those negative behaviors.
Yep.
But like I knew that I wanted to be different with my kids and kind of let them know that there's going to be rewards and consequences for your behavior. I'm going to get you where you need to be at 18. And then, you know what I mean? Then once you turn 18, it becomes your responsibility. But even still, I will be there for you to help you work through it if you have any issues. But we need to get this situated now before you get out and get into the world
Yep.
because the world don't care. The world has no care. The world doesn't care what troubles or problems that you have. Problems. You know what I mean? What problems you have because they're going to judge you. They're going to, you know what I mean? Have expectations. And if you're not, a person with good morals, a person with good ethics, you know what I mean? You'll fall right into the trap. And there's nothing I can do for you at that point. So
Say that.
I try to build them up, encourage them, let them know that there's both benefits to good behavior and then rewards for good behavior and then consequences for negative behaviors. And even if you don't get caught doing something bad the first time, you'll continue to do that behavior until you do get caught. So, you know what I mean? Don't play with fire or you will get burned.
That's a fact. That is a
And
fact. I also feel like, like as a parent, right? Especially like during this time, we have to raise our kids with a certain level of knowing how to conduct themselves in public. You know what I mean? Because
mm-hmm,
we have brown and black boys that we're raising.
mm-hmm,
You know what I mean? And let's be realistic. In the U.S., we are taught something that people don't like to take into account. Some people could turn a blind eye and be like, all lives matter. But the reality is that we constantly have to face the fact that it matters. And so, with that being said, I want to state that, we are in Black Lives Matter and it's not negotiable because we realize that it is important to save our Black fellow people. And I just wanted to point that out today because while we're talking about being moms, we always take into account the fact that we're raising men.
mm-hmm,
We're raising men, so we're constantly hard on ourselves, I think, a lot because we want our sons to be, good, decent men because we haven't had the best experience with men. So
mm-hmm,
we can't make them be bitter towards women either.
mm-hmm,
That's why we constantly work on ourselves to be better women because we want our sons to see better. We want you have a daughter, I don't have a daughter.
mm-hmm,
But if I did, I want my future daughters or nieces or anybody who looks up to me to do better because
mm-hmm,
just because you didn't see better doesn't mean that there isn't better. It doesn't mean that you can't be better.
mm-hmm.
And that's what we always strive to be. It's better people ultimately because it's not about us, it's about the kids. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like those like when they made that song Children Are the Future, like it's a reality. The fact that matters is
Period.
when we become better people, we are in turn better people to our children. So we teach them how to be better individuals with more empathy, compassion, sympathy, people that walk with integrity and are honorable. And we also have to teach them how, like, sometimes they don't get to talk back
Mm-hmm,
when they want to.
mm-hmm,
And sometimes they have to be kinder to an officer when they get stopped than
mm-hmm.
what people will ever have to do.
And sometimes it'll matter and sometimes it won't. And
Yep.
that's the hard part for me as a mom is that I can teach my kid to do everything right, to say everything right. And still, you know, that's the hard truth that I have to face every day. Like they do the right thing. Sometimes bad things have happened to people who did the right thing. Bad things have happened to people who are trying to advocate for themselves, or that were scared and didn't have the ability to say, hey, I'm scared. This is why I want to get far away from you. Or, hey, I'm scared, so I'm irrational. And we can go down a whole thing, but the hardest part in raising, like you said, black and brown children is that they may already, depending on who it is, look like a perpetrator or look like they're doing something wrong. And to have to teach your kid that, something could happen to you for doing something wrong, and something can happen to you for doing something right. You could be jogging through your own neighborhood. So to be extra cautious and to watch your own surroundings and watch who's watching you. And you know what I mean? Go at a good time of day. And like the fact that we have to do that is really sad in the state of the world. But
But it's a reality.
yep,
And,
it's true. It's a reality.
and it's something that we can't turn a blind eye to. We can't,
Hmm.
negate. So, um, I want to say, like, honestly, to be honest, like, I don't think I would be here as a person. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my kids.
Hmm.
And I mean that, like, with all sincerity, like, with everything that I've gone through. Um, I think that I keep it together more so for them than anybody else, not not myself, because like I've been to points in my journey of self love where, you know what I mean, like I didn't matter as a person, but they did. And I think that's valuable because, like I've said it since the beginning of this podcast, sometimes we as people, right, we have to remember who we are as people, that we're not just moms, because I lost myself being a mom. And I love this shit out of my kids. Like they're the number one thing in my life, my priority. And above everything else is my kids. But it's been tough getting my mental health together, especially during this pandemic, keeping it together while learning a new job,
Hmm.
while studying, while trying to help my kids keep it together with their grades, while being stuck at home. You know what I mean? And like nobody discusses like all that mental the mental stuff that we're gonna like discover later after the pandemic is over. You know what I mean? But them kids, they keep me going with their silliness, with their jokes, with their charisma, with their character, with their little sass.
Little one got all the sass, just like his
With
auntie.
their sass, like yo, like those kids like keep me motivated to want to go on. You know what I mean? So
And
parent,
the struggle, we would do that struggle 50 million times over for him in any circumstance, in any time, in any day, I know that, like you said, it was times where I was like, I can't do this anymore.
yeah,
And then I was like, but guess what? I may not trust, like, I don't know who will be able to take them if something happened to me. So,
right. You don't
um,
love them like I love them.
love them, period. So, um, 20 times 20 times over, like what you said, like, um, being the best for them and giving them sometimes what we never had or what we never experienced, because that's how you learn, with each the goal is with each generation you learn, right? So sacrificing and losing ourselves while all trying to keep it together for them. I've had a couple little breakdowns, especially when they were little, and I was doing it like by myself, crying in the middle of the living floor, and getting up at 4:30 in the morning, having to go to clinicals, and them crying, saying, "Oh, we don't want to go to school," and me knowing I can't miss a clinical because we get dinged for it, and makes our grade go down. And so, like all the things that we have to endure as mamas, like y'all just know is millions of mamas out there doing the same thing that you're doing, going through
Single
the
parents,
same.
single dads.
Single dads, single man, look, I know some good single dads
Yeah.
that do the same. Single parent, um, we speak on things that we know because we us. So anytime that we're saying us women or us, I mean, that's just because we women. But it's some men that equally have that same amount of stress. And I think it's kind of, it might be a little harder for them because they can't, the way they process stuff sometimes, you know, like men process things a little differently. Like we're more emotional, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're more in their head.
Logical. They're very
Yeah,
logical.
yeah. So I'm sure it's a whole struggle out there that we might not be able to even identify. But
Yeah.
those same things though, sacrificing for your children and going hard for them and doing anything that you can to make sure they're in their best situation that can possibly be. That comes along with self-sacrifice. It's like many times I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get something for myself, and then by the time I get to the store, I'm like, no, I'm gonna get something for my kids.
I'm like, yo, I went to Walmart the other day. All that junk food that I bought, I didn't buy myself any junk food. It was all for the kids. They're like, yes, mom, thanks, mom, yes, yes. And then I'm like, where's my snacks?
Where's my snacks? I want snacks too. But look, we had a good look. I'm almost done, sis.
Yeah.
You're doing good. So we can. I mean, I think we've been riding for a while. I need to go cook. I got everything that I made here for the family. So I'm gonna go put it back in the oven, put some more butter on it, get it nice and warm for them. Cause like we said, we mamas and we got kids, and our kids be hungry.
Sure do. They sure do. They will eat you out of house and home, especially during the pandemic.
Yeah. No, them grocery, not groceries. Well, how much money I have spent on groceries?
Man, like
These kids.
I need Biden to send me another check, yo, because he was giving these schools like money for what? Like, for food. Food my kid is not eating. I need that money.
We need to be stimulated. Can we be
for like food for them kids, yo?
They eating you out of house and home, sis. You ain't got that left.
The little one be like, "Can I have a snack? Can I get a snack? But can I get a snack?" Did I tell you the story about how he told on me to my client? He was like, "So we okay with me not eating?" Sir, I just gave you a snack like 30 minutes ago. What do you mean?
And well, he said that when you were on the phone with a client.
Yeah. And the client's like, maybe you should give your son something to eat. I'm not starving my child. I'm not starving the child. He eat all the time, yo. He eat all the time.
That's my baby. Send him to me. I'll give him all of his snacks.
I'm like, yo, he be making me look bad in these streets. He be muddying my name. Talking about nobody worry about me eating. What, sir? Don't embarrass me at work. Don't embarrass me. My feelings be hurt, yo.
Oh, good. All right, since we rolling.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us with, The Inner Voice with TallyNuNu. We want to thank all our writers for being with us. We want to thank you guys for showing up tonight. Thanks for eating with us and watching us eat. And thanks for mukbanging with us. Thanks for having mommy chat with us.
Mukbang.
Please join us next week when we we're gonna tap in with some of our subscribers who love and adore us. So
yes,
part of the tap in, go ahead and put your email down below or hit us up at our email. The information is down there. So
it's all in the description box. Wait a minute. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what is your problem? Tap in. Go ahead. It takes 2 seconds. You sitting at home on the couch anyway.